Welcome to the Monster Slayer Bestiary, where we hypothesize how to fight mythology's greatest monsters. I'm your host Red King, and today we're going to be talking about the poison-spewing lion turtle, the Tarasque. Let's start with what a Tarasque is. The Tarasque was a dragon-like creature which was found in southern France, near the river Rhône. It had the head of a lion, the shell of a turtle, 6 bare legs, and the tail of a reptile or scorpion. This is very different from the more popular interpretation of the Tarasque found in D&D, which is closer to, well,
Run! It's Godzilla!
it looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
Yes, but we should still run like it is Godzilla.
Though it isn't.
Ah!
So yeah, thankfully I don't have to deal with trying to beat that 50-foot tall monstrosity. The more mythologically accurate Tarasque is most famous for appearing in The Golden Legend. It is defeated by Saint Martha, who found it eating someone, sprinkled some holy water on it, held up a cross, and pacified the Tarasque, allowing her to leash it like a dog and bring it to a village, where it was beat to death by the villagers. I'm going to say we can't use this method because I have nowhere near as good a relationship with any god as a saint who met and was helped by their savior, so holy water and a cross will be as effective on a Tarasque as trying to hug away a lobotomy. Also, while it should be nowhere near as big as its Godzilla cousin, it is still pretty big. So, how big is it? I don't know! There's art showing it as up to knee height, there's art showing it as bigger than its D&D version, there's art showing it as close to the size of a bear in the town of Tarasque, where the myth originated and that is literally named after the Tarasque. There is a statue of the Tarasque and looks to be about the size of a big dog or a small bear. I could not for the life of me find a single goddamn size for this thing. It varies in size in literally every single interpretation I can find. But to figure out how to beat it, I need to figure out how big it is, because size matters a lot in a fight, especially when the being you're fighting has 6 bear claws that can maul you. Okay. From its original description, I know the Tarasque is longer than a horse and heavier than a bull. This at the very least gives me a minimum. I did some research and found there is a horse breed that was bred right in the southern part of the Rhône, right near the town of Tarasque. It is called the Camargue horse, and while I couldn't find how long they were because that isn't how you measure horse breeds, I was able to estimate that it was about as long as it was tall. So I could use the measurements for its height to see how long it was. This is about 135 to 150 centimeters, but because the description specifically says it's longer than a horse, I'm going to say that the 150 centimeter or 4 foot 9 inches is our minimum length for the Tarasque's size. The fatter than a bull line is a bit easier to estimate, as it places the Tarasque's weight at over 1,500 pounds or 680 kilograms. This is almost as heavy as your mother. These two measurements should give us a way to estimate the size of the Tarasque and how much destructive force it has. For the sake of the video, let's assume the Tarasque is 1.5 times the minimum length I found, which means it is 225 centimeters or 7 foot 3 long. Let's do the same with the weight, so 1.5 times 1500 becomes 2,250 pounds. Now that we finally have a way to estimate the size and weight of the Tarasque, let's talk on the rest of its capabilities. The first factor we have to consider in this fight is its poison breath. This means a gas mask is a must. Next, claws and teeth. These are said to be as sharp as swords. A shield or heavy armor will definitely be needed to stop them. Next is the tail. If it's just a lizard tail, it could still whip around and cause some damage, and if it's a scorpion tail, it means that it will be much more precise with how it can attack, but similarly to the teeth and claws, it shouldn't hurt us provided we have the correct armor or shield. Finally is the shell. This part shouldn't be too difficult to get through, as it is said to be the townspeople of Tarasque who killed it with nothing more than rocks and spears. Now that we have its capabilities, let's theorize how to send it to hell. My first thought might be because I'm sniffing glue while writing this, but because of how the Tarasque is built, it would be slow and have a hard time maneuvering. This is due to the large shell and 6 legs which would impede each other, so I thought this. Motorbike mounted archer. Let me explain. Now you're probably wondering, why not just get a horse? Well, there's a reason for that. Poison breath. Horses have a much larger lung capacity, and to sustain their larger bodies, they breathe nearly 60 liters of air a minute. For reference, the average human takes in about 7 to 8 liters of air a minute. This would mean any airborne toxin would hit a horse much harder than a human. A motorbike doesn't require air to live and work, so it obviously won't be affected by the poison gas. Another inspiration for this concept was the Mongols, as they are famous for their horse-mounted archery. The place where these concepts differ is that because a horse is a living creature with the ability to work separate from its rider, the rider can go hands-free to be able to draw their bow. This isn't really the case for a motorbike unless you have 2 people. one managing the bike while one pelts the Tarasque with arrows. This most certainly would take it down. It works with 2 people, but if you have enough friends, then you could get an entire squad and take it down faster. Problem being, you're watching a video on how to beat a Tarasque. You don't have any friends. No worries, neither do I. So let's think of a solo strategy that would work as well. First, we still need a gas mask to stop us from getting hit with its poison breath. Secondly, a creature of the Tarasque's size would be incredibly tough to kill with just medieval weapons, as with the weight we calculated, which was 2,250 pounds, it would be as heavy as a polar bear. Now because they are comparable in weight and aggression, let's look at how people deal with polar bears. Key points include, don't. Well, unfortunately that isn't really an option for us, so let's look at another option, bear spray. Bear spray is basically a more concentrated version of pepper spray, and while it isn't lethal, it is still a good deterrent and distraction. So getting some bear spray would work to distract the Tarasque and mean we could use other tools to kill it. Next, I would go with a boar spear. Boar spears are made to stop a boar from running up your spear and killing you, and considering the large teeth and bear claws that would probably maul us easily if it got too close, I'd say keeping this as far away from possible would be best. So, bear spray and a boar spear. What else? I'd say we want something to defend against any of its attacks if it would hit us. Steel plate would be good, but given how heavy it is and how it would be better for us to dodge its attacks rather than take any of its hits head on, I'd say steel plate in a few vital areas such as the chest and head, and something closer to thick cloth everywhere else. This allows us to be mobile while not completely defenseless. I would recommend trying to draw it near a forest or other such area that would impede its movement. Now I can say that from a cursory look at the surroundings near Tarasque, there isn't really any woods nearby, and I don't really feel like taking a giant poison spewing beast into town with a population of 15,000 is a good idea. So drawing away from such a place would be the best option. The strategy we would be using with our gear would be drawing its attention with a few quick light attacks, and then booking it. If we are to assume that we are fighting it near the town of Tarasque, we would need to draw it into one of the nearby fields so it doesn't cause harm to the surrounding civilians. After drawing it into one of these fields, you would use your bear spray to blind and disorient it. Then it's a matter of death by 1,000 cuts. Quick, fast, deadly strikes. If you see an opportunity to stab it in the head, then take it, but otherwise try to hit it fast, light, and reapply bear spray as needed. It will probably try flailing around and attacking wildly, so be careful about only attacking if there's no chance of one of the bear claws or lion fangs harming you. If you're careful, you should have no trouble taking down a Tarasque. Anyways, that should about wrap up this episode of Monster Slayer Bestiary. I'm going to be journeying to the island of Crete for next episode, so until then, this is Red King, signing out.